Beloved children of men, today I'm giving a deeper understanding of what it means to live in the will of God. It is an unalterable fact that all of us, on all levels of creation, are based on God's will. Nothing comes into being or happens without this divine intention, and so we are all eternally connected. I give this wonderful truth today to deepen your understanding of it. So now, let us go back in time to how everything began, to the reality of being, of the eternally inseparable God being. In the beginning, there was God, and we all were He, a part of the all-encompassing reality of love. This reality existed before all, and truly from eternity to eternity. There was neither beginning nor time. It was and is eternal. Let me simplify it a bit and say that in the beginning only God existed in His highest expression, and we all were that expression and dwelt in Him. But God began to create levels of experience, so He created the planes of being. His light manifested very subtle, but also gross expressions of His nature, and while this was happening, a flurry of activity began in the eternal unity. Finally, the splitting off and detachment from the unity began, and the divine consciousness attained reality in dense matter. Thus, the form of planet Earth became the essential realm for us to experience God, to experience ourselves as divine and dense and solid matter. Very special rules were created for the earth, and the great experiment began. What happens when gods move away from oneness? How will these experiences shape the universe? Thus, we have all been born on earth countless times, and have come closer and closer to the challenges that have been set for us. God's will, which was and is also our will, is being realized, and gradually people are beginning to realize what a great service of love they are performing on earth. You are all gods. Eternally ago you decided to step into the dense vibrational plane of earth and Earth-like planets. You all wanted to experience your divinity on this level of creation, and so you came to experience, to learn, and to grow. Everything is God's will. This will is not a distant dictate to which you should submit, but this is your true freedom. Because your will and God's will are identical, there is no separation in this regard. There is only your ignorance of what your will actually is. And the more you surrender to God's will and His light, the stronger is your merging with Him, the sooner you get back into your primal knowledge about your oneness with God. It's always your ego consciousness that pretends to fall into willlessness when you choose God. But in fact, every step towards Him or her strengthens your power and your will, because every step brings you closer to your origin and starting point, the eternal and all-giving will of God. So you only give up your ego, but never your will. So don't be deceived, and don't grant your ego presence this power. Without God, you are nothing. Through God, everything. This is also self-explanatory, since you can be everything only through the awareness of your divinity. And without that, you are nothing. There, your ego consciousness can suggest to you what it likes. You are nothing, and you feel it in your body. Your restlessness is the sign of it. If you are in God, you are in yourself, and in you is God. Yourself knows it, and your ego covers this up so that it can live. There is great wisdom in grasping this reality. If you make it your own, you will lose the chains that prevent you from giving up what your ego makes you believe. Your ego consciousness has no overview and no hair will bend to this will. But your all-embracing divine consciousness is powerful and omniscient. In the eternal being, everything that has been, that is, and that will be submits to the power. From this power you come, and even more, this power is you. God's will and your will are one, as soon as you have found your agreement with your original essence. You need not fear the steps that lead to the dissolution of your ego, for your reward is immeasurable. Only worry about the kingdom of God, and everything else will be given to you. The kingdom of God is in your heart. Make sure that your heart becomes strong and free from delusions. The more you succeed in this, the more beautiful and fulfilling your existence will be. Your actions bear the signature of your heart, and truly, once you have reached this point, God's fullness pours over you, and you will never thirst again, and your hunger is satisfied forever. If you go the way to the Father, which is always the way into your heart, this fullness, which takes care of itself, day after day, is certain to you. It is one of the most fundamental commandments in the Creator's order that you are taken care of. Your life is given everything to flourish. No man shall suffer lack if he surrenders to the Father's will. Through this surrender, you will be transformed, and gradually the veils will lift. You will reach the source. Strive for the kingdom of God within you, and your life will find fulfillment in abundance. The more you worry about earthly matters, hold on to them, or even tense up, the weaker your energy of love can flow. These blockages cause your suffering and every lack. If you give your being into the hands of the Father in heaven, into His trust, you relax. Don't worry about tomorrow. Stay anchored in the now and work from your heart. The kingdom of God is within. Trust and surrender to the power and knowledge of your heart. In this way, you enable the light to unfold its effect. Your energies can flow freely again, and you experience the constant presence of God. The feeling of being powerless and at the mercy of God, of losing control, are the signs of your surrender. As soon as you let go completely, the curtain opens and the harmony of your being spreads out before you in all its majesty. All fearfulness gives way. Powerlessness becomes power. Now you know the why. All that your ego felt as a threat, yourself experiences as grace. Where you narrowed consciousness felt trepidation, your awakened self experiences liberation. Everything is upside down. Up is down, and down becomes up. The solutions to all your problems, personal and global, lie in regaining your awareness. There is no God outside of you. He is within you. Ask for the grace of the realization. Love is eternally placed in your heart, and in this oneness, you are again a fully conscious creature of the divine order. Please always remember, God's plans are not known to you, but they were familiar to you. If you come close to this knowledge, you understand yourself as divine and in unity with the Father, Mother in heaven. There is a silent agreement between you and God. He fights for your love, and you resist, but He fights until you can no longer resist His wooing, until you succumb to His charm. You surrender, and in this fusion, you find yourself. What's true devotion, and how do you attain it? True surrender means to die, to surrender and let the ego go completely, falling like a mustard seed into the earth to bear abundant fruit. It's the rebirth into being, the awakening of the heart. The death of your illusions brings about this transformation. Surrender means unconditionality and trust. Your Father in heaven takes care of you. This knowledge makes you omnipresent, and there is no adhesion of ego. Devotion means letting go of everything, your ideas, opinions, fears, worries, and doubts. Your false programming brought forth by your many lives. To become whole, who you are, you have to die the last of all deaths. Everything is taken care of if you surrender, and this last death carries the seed of birth, of your rebirth, to bear abundant fruit for the benefit of mankind. This process takes place step by step, until you suddenly realize that you are another, until you realize that the seed you planted long ago has grown into a shady tree. Your devotion causes the transformation of your issues, until finally everything is redeemed, and until you have accomplished this transformation, you are awakened. You are in unity with all life. God's will is now your freedom. Through this freedom, you love and radiate your light. Your divinity becomes visible. You have arrived. Beloved children of men, children of light, you are all of divine origin, and we are all eternally connected, beyond time and space, beyond all your imaginations. God, the Father, is calling you back into His arms. You have performed your service of love excellently. Reflect and free yourselves from the great deception, the reality around you. Summon us. We, the brothers and sisters who have gone before you, will be there whenever you need us to come into your clarity. We don't need sleep. Whenever you call, you are assured of our company, so that you become who you are, be ever and from the beginning of time. Greetings to me, and my love accompanies you everywhere, because your heart is my home. Jesus Sananda. Channeled by Jan Castle.